present at lower voltages. That is a problem in single pass modulation. Therefore, we'll go for multiple pass modulation. And high frequency carrier wave is compared with a control voltage, and at the intersection of these two waves decide the instant of triggering. So this is how we'll analyze a two-pass converter. For simplicity, we have taken two-pass. That this gap is theta 1. So when there are two pass, it is n plus 1, 3 equidistance blank spaces. Okay, and this is zeta. And we have proved that for multiple pass modulation, the magnitude of the fundamental is less than what it is with single pass modulation. This theta 1, theta 2 we have derived from the graph, and we have proved that the magnitude is less. Okay. This is how we, from this triangle, we will derive the value of 2d by n. And 2d by n is the pass width. Okay. So briefly, nothing much for you BTech level for sinusoidal pass modulation. So this is realized. That's third point you can read. Sine pulse width modulation is realized by comparing a high frequency triangular carrier wave of magnitude Vc with a sinusoidal reference wave Vr. The intersection of the these two waves determine the switching instance and commutation of the modulated pulse. So here also, like your multiple pulse modulation, there are several pulses per half cycle. Several times the switching happen. But in multiple pulse modulation, the pulse width is equal for all pulses. Pulse width is same, but here, since the magnitude of the sinusoidal carrier wave changes, the pulse width also changes. Okay. They are mixed in a comparator. When a sinusoidal wave has magnitude higher than the triangular wave, the comparator output is high, otherwise it is low. Okay. The comparator output is processed in a trigger pulse generator in such a manner that the output voltage wave of the inverter has a pulse width in agreement with comparator output pulse width. So this is how a high frequency carrier wave is compared with a sinusoidal reference wave. The frequency of the triangular wave decides the switching frequency of the switches, and the frequency of the reference wave decides the frequency of the inverter. Okay. So and this ratio, magnitude of the reference wave and magnitude of the carrier wave, is the modulation index. Now here, if the peak of the carrier wave is coincide with the peak of the zero of the reference wave, the number of pulses per half cycle Fc by 2m. Here it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. This is the frequency of the time period of the triangular wave, 1 by Fc. This is T by 2, that is 1 by 2f. Like that. Okay. So you can draw this. When triangular wave, carrier wave, has its peak coincide with zero of the reference sinusoidal wave, there are n is equal to Fc by 2f pulses per half cycle. Now, when the zero of the reference wave coincide with zero of the carrier wave, we have one pulse less, n minus 1. Okay. So it depends on how you design the waves and how you generate the pulses. Okay. Few points you note down here. The ratio of VR by VC. VR is the magnitude of the reference wave. Which is the reference magnitude of the carrier wave is called the modulation index. And it controls the harmonic content of the output voltage waveform. This magnitude, it controls the harmonic content of the output voltage. The magnitude of the fundamental component of the output voltage is proportional to modulation index, but MI can never be more than unity. Thus, the output voltage is controlled by varying MI. Harmonic analysis of the output voltage reveals that in sine M, the following important features. For MI less than 1, largest harmonic amplitude in the output voltage are associated with harmonics of the order Fc by F plus minus 1 or 2n plus minus 1, where n is the number of pulses per half cycle. Thus, by increasing the number of pulses per half cycle, the order of dominant harmonic frequency can be raised, which can be filtered out easily. Understand? If n is large, then the number of pulses per half cycle is more, then the order of harmonics is higher. If it is 4, then it is 8 plus 1, 9, or 8 minus 1, 7. So higher order harmonics can be filtered out easily by passive filters. In the figure, n is 5, therefore harmonic of the order 9 and 11 become significant in the output voltage. It's noted that the highest order of significant harmonic of a sinusoidal voltage wave is centered around the carrier frequency Fc. Okay, this much for the pulse width modulation. There is no question. Then I have one chapter left, on topic left in control rectifier that we'll study. So one topic I have left in the control rectifier, the effect of source impedance on the performance of the converters. In fact, we have studied these converters without the source impedance. In that case, we have assumed that the current transfer from the outgoing thyristor to the incoming thyristor instantaneously. Okay, when these two are conducting, this is the current path. When these two are switched on, the current instantaneously switch on to T3 and T4. Instantaneous, but in fact, it is not instantaneous because of the inductor. So when these two are conducting, and after pi at pi plus alpha, when these two are triggered, T3 and T4, the current in T1 and T2 gradually decrease, and current in T3 and T4 gradually increase. So for a particular time, for short period of time, all the four switches conduct. That is known as an overlap period. During overlap period, mu, the output voltage is 0. Okay. And the rate of decrease of current, assuming that the load current is constant and ripple free, the rate of rise of current in the incoming thyristor is equal to the rate of fall of current in the outgoing thyristors. Okay. So when these two are triggered, current in T1 and T2 fall gradually, and current in T3 and T4 rise gradually at the same rate, assuming that the load current is constant and ripple. During that period, all the thyristor conduct is known as overlap period. And during that period, this is the equivalent circuit. This load current is constant and ripple free. In one, the current is decreasing gradually. In another pair, the current is increasing gradually. The sum is always I0. That is what it is summarized here. For a single phase and three phase pool converters, derivation of the output voltages have been obtained on the assumption that current transfer from one on the outgoing SCR to the incoming SCR instantaneously. This means that when thyristor T1 and T2 are triggered in a single phase converter, the outgoing SCR T3 and T4 get turned up due to application of reverse voltage and current shifts to T1 and T2 instantaneously. This is possible if the voltage source has no internal impedance. But in fact, actually the source does possess internal impedance. If the source impedance is purely resistive, then there will be a voltage drop across the resistance, and the average output voltage of a converter gets reduced by an amount I0 Vs for a single phase converter and by 2 I0 Vs for a three phase converter. Okay. But if you take the purely inductive, the load inductance is assumed large, so that output current is virtually constant. The source inductance causes the outgoing and incoming SCR to conduct together during the commutation period, the overlap period. When both outgoing and incoming SCR are connecting together, the output voltage is equal to the average value of the conducting phases for a three phase circuit. For a single phase converter, the load voltage will be 0. And for a three phase converter, load voltage is VA0, the conducting phases by 2. The commutation overlap is more predominant in full converter than in semi converter. Therefore, we will consider this in case of full converter. So this is how it is explained.
Sir, why we assume that our source impedance is inductive, purely inductive?
You can take RL load, but the source is because maybe the machine inductive alternator. Okay, or you can say it is a RL load. It is a impedance because see the resistance, as I told you, it is given. If it is a resistive load source, then there is a voltage drop. Okay, there is a voltage drop, and there is some reduction in the output voltage. But if it is a RL load, both there will be voltage drop as well as there is a delay in transfer of current from one pair to the other pair. So basically, the inductance is causing the performance of the converter to change. because of that inductance for a particular instant of time, all the switches are conducting. Because in a inductance, in a resistance of light, the current can change instantaneously. But for inductive source, definitely there are RL source. The current direction cannot change instantaneously. They have to take some time, right? So better to discuss inductance as the source, inductive source, so that the source inductance effect can be discussed and understand. And the load is assumed to be very highly inductive, because assuming that the current is, for that matter, the current is assumed to be ripple free and constant, and for that is assumed because of simplicity. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to analyze. More ripples will be there. If it is resistive load, resistive source, then only voltage drop will be there. There will be no delay. This overlap will not be there. Okay. So during that period, this overlap, you can see in one, the outgoing thyristor, the current is decreasing gradually, and in one other pair, the current is increasing gradually. These two rates are same, so that the current is actually we are assuming that current is full free, but it is not so actually, because practically this is an actual simulation result. In book, or if I will draw a straight line. But if you simulate, we have connected a very large inductance. Still, there is some variation in current, because it is difficult to find an infinitely large inductance. But it is always done for analysis. Assume that this is a ripple free constant current, and this sum of these two current at any instant is the load current. Okay. And here you see, when all the thyristors are conducting, this is the commutation period voltage is 0. Okay. You trigger here alpha. Okay. Then alpha to mu, all the thyristors conduct. Then again at pi plus alpha, you trigger the other pair. Then for a period of mu, again 4 thyristors conduct again, like that. Is it okay? Because the inductance is predominant, that is why we are taking a inductive source. Okay. So during that,
short circuit.
Is there all thyristors are conducting now. This is conducting, so there is a free wheel path. All are conducting. In one pair, it is decreasing gradually. In another pair, it is increasing gradually. So this is like a free wheeling diode, na? So if you neglect the drop, the voltage drop is neglected in the switches, and this voltage, if you measure, you connect an oscilloscope here, what you see? You see 0 voltage. Na? These 2 points, na? That is a short circuit. This is actual simulation result, not drawn by hand. There are some ripples are also shown in switching. And as I told you, it is practically infinitely large inductance are not available in the world. For simplicity, always there is assumptions are there. DC-DC converter also assume many things. Okay. So this is the waveform. If it is okay, then I will go to next page. So that equivalent circuit, and from this equivalent circuit, okay, This is the equation. V1 minus Ls di1 by dt is equal to V2 minus Ls di2 by dt. Okay. Or V1 minus V2 is equal to Ls di1 by dt minus di2 by dt. But V1 is equal to Vm sin omega t and V2 is equal to minus Vm sin omega t. Why? For one pair, it is Vm sin omega t. For the other pair, it is minus Vm sin omega t after pi. Okay. So putting this here, you'll get Ls di1 by dt minus di2 by dt is equal to 2 Vm sin omega t. As the load current is assumed constant throughout, I1 plus I2 is equal to I0. Okay. So di1 by dt plus di2 by dt is equal to 0. From here, di1 dt minus di2 dt is equal to 2 Vm by Ls sin omega t. From here, di1 dt plus di2 dt is equal to 0. Okay, very short. So adding these two, what we'll get? di1 by dt is equal to Vm by Ls sin omega t. 2 will cancel. So load current I1 through thyristor pair T1 T2 builds up from 0 to I0 during the overlap period mu. That is correct. In this, it is built up in time I0 mu. Okay, from 0 to I0. So at omega t is equal to alpha, I1 is equal to 0. At omega t is equal to alpha plus mu, I1 is equal to I0. So putting this here in this equation and integrating it, we'll get the expression for I0. Okay. Vm by omega Ls cos alpha minus cos alpha plus mu. Is it okay? Now from that figure we form V0 is 0 from alpha to pi alpha plus mu during overlap period. The average output voltage V0 is given by this limit is alpha plus mu to alpha plus pi. This is this. So this is all this derived from this equation. Is it okay? So here this overlap. So the limit will be alpha plus mu to alpha plus pi. And this is, if this is V1, the reverse of this is V2. That is the voltage for the other pair. So from the equivalent circuit, V1 minus Ls di1 by dt is equal to V2 minus Ls di2 by dt. So this is okay. And this limit from the waveform, omega t is equal to alpha, I1 is 0, omega t is equal to alpha plus mu, I1 is equal to I0. So it is 0 to I0, alpha by mu, that is t. T is alpha by mu, alpha by omega, and this is alpha plus mu by omega sin omega t. Integrating, we will get the expression for I0. And this is the expression for the average voltage. This is the expression for the average current for considering source inductance. Any more question? I think I have covered everything. Anything is left?
Sir, commutation circuits.
Not required. That is abolished. Nowadays, IGBT use, na? So I will go to that again. But it is always to study RL circuit, that RL circuit, then LC circuit, transient. Those circuits are used as auxiliary circuit for force commutation. Force commutation you are talking about, I think. Those things are not taught nowadays because thyristors are not used for inverter and chopper circuit. You say that control rectifier because this line commutation. Force commutation is not required. But in inverter circuit, force commutation is required. So why to use external circuit? Auxiliary circuit will be used. That is very so nowadays all IGBTs. Your industrial circuit inverters or your home inverter, they are all using IGBTs. It can be control turn up and control turn on. You apply the gate pulse, it will turn on. You remove the gate pulse, it will turn on. Anything else you can tell me?
And sir, the things like types of chopper, class A, class B chopper, this type of thing, these are in syllabus.
That you can also study. No, I can take one class on that. Class A, that is single quadrant, 2 quadrant chopper, 4 quadrant chopper. That is taught in drives actually. They are classified according to the quadrant they operate. So drive a motor, and it is single quadrant motoring. Or braking, it is 2 quadrant chopper, motoring and braking. Let me check if I have notes, then I can teach you one more class. It may be useful for you for other exam, not here. Okay. If I have note, I can teach you. Otherwise, again, preparing note now, there is no time. It takes a lot of time for me. Anyway, somehow course is almost finished. Though I did not enjoy the class, I was class teaching through online mode is never enjoyable. I'm just feeling talking to the wall. 30 years of teaching, then suddenly this kind of thing, not at all enjoyable. When students are there, it is very good. Hopefully next semester you are coming back.
Yes, sir.
So, okay, any doubt you can contact me over phone, and one more exam I will conduct. And that those things, if I don't have note, you can study yourself. You ask me doubt, I'll clear the doubts. That class A, class B, this all same principle, same choppers we have studied, many chopper, advanced chopper we have studied all this, and those notes are very good books. So you can contact me anytime, any doubt. We'll conduct another exam on inverters. Okay.
Friday.
Friday. Be prepared for Friday. The sooner the better. Okay. Today is 9th, 10, 12. 2 days sufficient for you. Prepare 2 days. hopefully 12 will conduct the exam. Because 12 is your last day, I think, for this semester. Okay. Okay then, bye.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Have a good day.